Test 1, 2. Got it? All righty, welcome to the class. I first want to tell you a little bit about me, how we got to where we're at here today. We started our team, and when I've got to preface, when I started a team, I had not been on one. So I had no team experience whatsoever in real estate. I had led teams. I worked for a nonprofit, and I had to put together teams. I did training around the world on Zoom calls in this nonprofit organization. So I was used to teams, but not in real estate. So what I did is I didn't know anything about Club Wealth. I began to interview team leaders from around the nation. And I picked and chose what I thought I would like to be. If I were to join a team, what would I like it to look like? And so that's how we started. Rachel and I started this together. She was not licensed at the time. She was just kind of helping me along. I've got to say, Rachel was supposed to team teach with me. And I have to give credit. Rachel knows everything way before I do. She's my better half. And if I would listen to her, we would probably be a tier or two higher. She is amazing. It takes me a little longer to come to the same conclusions, and not because I'm analytical, but she's just smart and fast. I love teaching with her, and I look forward to you guys meeting her in April if you come out. When we first heard of Club Wealth, we were going to get free stuff. They advertised this meeting in Glenwood Springs, about 90 minutes from where we're at, and we decided to go out there. Michael Hellickson was there, and he was very compelling, and he was giving me free resources if I text this number and some stuff to him, and then he was going to give me this sheet of all kinds of ways to get leads and for free. And that was about the price that I needed at that point, was free. And so I was all about free stuff. So I signed up, and then we did the talk with somebody, and we looked at it, and it cost money to join coaching. But Rachel said, we have to do this. And I didn't analyze it. As long as I do a lot of things, I said, okay, if that's what you think we need to do, let's do it. So long story longer, we ended up in Club Wealth, and really it was one of the best decisions that we'd ever made. And it really helped us get to where we are. When we were there, it was me, her, and one other person. No, two other people by that point. And we were going to the event to meet somebody to interview them for our team. And you have to understand, being a new team leader in real estate, that I was saying, come on and follow me. But I was about this far in front of them. But I was saying, let's go. And so that's kind of where we got our start. And this last year, we finished, I belong to a company that is about 26,000 agents in the nation. And we finished in the top 50, which I thought was amazing. But then you come here, and it's not as amazing as it was over there. Now, I'm not saying it's not something to celebrate. It was great. We were big fish over there. You come here and you're very humbled by all of the knowledge and all of the great stuff going on. I also have to say that my dad was always a champion for me. He passed away about 7 years ago, and watching the Hellicksons on stage just tore me up, because I know if my dad was here, he would be just so proud of where we're at, where we're going. So anyway, enough about me. Oh, that's my introduction. Look, we're cruising. I want to say that you came in here, and your idea was, how are you going to write an offer on every showing, right? That was a great title. Yes. So I am going to, this is the first part. I'm going to teach you that in just a short amount of time, because I can tell you that, well, let me start with a story. Will you keep track of time? And when I'm like halfway through, let me know, because I'll have to speed it up. Thanks. Hey, so in high school, I played basketball. I know it doesn't look like I'm a basketball player, but I was back then. And my coach made us run like crazy. We would run and run and run and run. We were not even practicing basketball. Me and my cousin were on the same team. we decided we're going to rebel. We're going to miss practice. We're just not going to go to it anymore because all we're doing is running. We're not learning basketball. I don't need to learn how to run. I got in trouble, called my dad in with us, principal's office. I'm at a small private school. And the coach then said that was unacceptable. We had to be there, blah, blah, blah. So we showed up the next day, suited out, and we know we're going to the track to run. So we show up, and this older gentleman, I mean, should probably have been retired, was a chief petty officer in the Navy. He came in his suit and tennis shoes. He took off his jacket and he ran with us. And I'll tell you what, I could not keep up with him. We ran and ran and ran. That guy could outrun all of us. That year, we ran and we finally started practicing in a gym. We practiced passing, practiced free throws, free throws, free throws, free throws, practiced layups, all the basics we were practicing, right? When we started playing basketball, we won and took in the finals, we finished first. The way we did it was with fundamentals. We outran and outlasted. We might be behind the beginning of the game, but they couldn't keep up with us. We just kept running, kept doing the fundamentals. We learned that most games are won and lost on free throws. We were really good at free throws, and if we weren't, we'd practice more free throws. So we did that again and again and again, and we won. So I'm here to tell you that you can, Babe Ruth was the home run king. How many of you knew he was also the strikeout king? Yeah, he holds both titles. It was amazing. So I can tell you that if you want to make a basket every time, take very few shots, stand by the basket, and only when nobody is around you, you have plenty of time to make that shot, you can make it. So I can tell you, if you want to write a contract at every single showing, don't take very many shots. But if you want to be successful and if you want to win at the game, it's about the basics. And I know you have heard that over and over again, and that's probably not what you wanted to hear today. But I'm going to tell you, if all you came for is to learn how to write on every contract, make sure your clients are pre-approved, make sure they're not pre-qualified, pre-approved, make sure that you only show them the house that they want to buy, and make sure that you come with a contract ready to write on it because they told you they wanted to buy it already. Otherwise, swing for the fence and swing often. Swing for the fence and swing often. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I'm going to tell you that in this industry, it is about taking advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you over and over, and consistency, the basics. So I was going to quote something that you've already heard, what one man can do, another can do. That's like one of the things that we say all the time. And that's why we come to these events, because I want to see what other people are doing, because it inspires me, because I know if they can do that, then I can too. So I am also going to reference this because there's no way that we can talk about all the basics, but I'm going to say that the one book and course that you can take is Becoming a World-Class Buyer's Agent. It has most of the information that I'm going to be talking about today with you. And then I'm also not going to follow the slides exactly, so I'm going to give you information. You might want to write down some of the stuff that I'm going to tell you. So when we get a call, how many of you went to shop for a car, and when you show up, before they'll show you a car, they want you to be, they ask you, have you talked to our finance manager? Are you pre-qualified? Can you afford this car? How many of you think that would be a great experience to have? You'd like to buy a car that way? So nobody wants to be prejudged, or not. I don't say nobody. He wants to be. Nobody wants to be prejudged by what you have or what you look like when you go shopping for a car. Why is it that as real estate agents, all of a sudden we're wanting to set all these parameters before we're going to go show houses to people? Because that's not the experience that they're going to want to look for. And so One of the things we learned at a conference that tweaked our business just a little bit was the first one's free. So we'd always say, hey, let's go take a look, even if it's just for fun. Let's go look at this, right? We get them out there, and the first one was free. No pre-qualifying, no questions, just let's go look at it, right? We get them out there, and one of the things that they wanted us to do, we found, is to follow up whether we had an answer or not. How many of you have trouble getting confirmations for showing once in a while? Other agents don't answer their phone, whatever, right? So within an hour, if I haven't had a confirmation, or if I do, either way, I'm calling them and I'm letting them know, hey, I haven't forgot about you. I just haven't heard you back yet. I'll let you know as soon as I know something. And then I call them back once it's approved. When I make the second call to them, I also, if it's more than 24 hours, I'm going to confirm with them. There's several ways you can confirm, but I'm also going to say, hey, I found a couple, if it's true, I found a couple other houses that are just in the same type houses that you were looking at today. Is it okay if I just schedule a few more while we're out? So I want to get them in more than one house if I can right away, first time. So you've heard of the Starbucks confirmation, right? Before I'm on my way out there, a couple hours before, hey, I'm stopping by Starbucks and I'm picking up a drink and I want to know what's your favorite drink so I can bring you one. If I haven't done an intake form, if I haven't done a buyer's consultation, I'm just calling them. I'm saying, hey, what's your favorite drink? Well, this does a couple things. Most of the time they're like, oh, I'm fine. I don't want any coffee, blah, blah, blah. But it lets them know and it reminds them in a non-threatening way that we have an appointment. They're important, and I want to give them a wow experience by bringing them something. Also, I might say, hey, I was calling you because I needed a little bit more information. How many people are coming and what, just give me a couple of ideas. Because if I need to bring more Starbucks or whatever, I just need to know how many people are going to be there. So I use the excuse of more information. And then again, multiple showings. Now, here's what multiple showings are going to do for you. You're going to appear as the neighborhood expert if you have other houses ready to show them. Because instead of just showing up and opening a door, you are going to establish yourself and set yourself apart from other agents by being prepared and having other properties ready for them to take a look at. And so when you're preparing for your showings, you're going to want to print out sheets. And some of you may have taken a class where you do the rating system. You're going to rate each one of these. When you go to the showing, you're going to have them rating these. You're going to take 2 clipboards, one for you, one for them. And if they have kids, you're going to give them clipboards too. I'll talk a little bit about that, and we won't go into depth on it, but you're going to do that. One of the things you're going to do is you're going to give them MLS sheets. So on every property, and you're going to tell them, hey, listen, you're going to prepare them. When you get to the first house, you're going to bring them inside. You're going to say, hey, here's your clipboard. And attached to it is going to be a pen, right? And you're going to say, we're going to rate every house that we look at. And when we're done, you guys can compare notes. Let's say it's a couple that you're taking out, them and their significant other. You're going to compare notes because it could be an 8 for one person, and it could be a 3 for the other person. And you get them dialoguing and dialed into the same page by having them rate it. Second thing you're going to tell them is anything that is a 5 or below, we're going to tear it up. And they some people are going to be like, oh my gosh, why are we going to tear it up? What if we want to come back to it or whatever? Don't worry. At the end of the last showing, we're going to eliminate the ones that are below a 5. This is going to help me get to know you and know what you like, what you don't like. I'm going to get to experience and find out what it is that you're exactly looking for and what best suits your needs. And so you're going to give them a pen and a highlighter. Highlighter is so that if there's something specific, you're helping them on the MLS sheet or whatever to find where it is every single time. Because if that one point is important, they're going to want to highlight it on every one so that they can see that feature that they're looking for in the MLS. Folder, I think clipboard is probably a better idea because if you get too many, they can't write. They want to make notes about the house. But the most important thing is when you're done, make sure you rate this before we leave. Right? And 10 being, I want to write an offer today. 1 being, why in the world did we walk in the door? This is horrible, right? In preparing for showings, we also are going to give directions. We'll take screenshots. We'll send out turn by turn, at least to the first house for sure. If you're Rachel, you have our stops mapped out, and you send through Google, you send this thing that once you're done with one, you can go to the next, the next, the next, the next. It's awesome. I don't know how she does it. She tried to teach me several times. I'll eventually get it. But you can send out directions because you want them to know. And you're at the first house, you're giving them all the houses you're going to see in the order you're going to see them. So that if for some reason you get separated, because at least on my team, we don't take people in our cars. They have to meet us or follow us or whatever. But if you get separated, you want them to have an address and know how to meet you, right? All right. Also, on your clipboard, you're going to have all the information with agent confidential remarks. So you have the information that they don't have. You have a separate clipboard and or screenshots for downloading the information that you need. Now, I am going to tell you this. When you have someone that wants to look in a specific neighborhood, if there's additional information, another way to set yourself apart is going to be print neighborhood information, maps, school information, stuff that they're not getting from any other agent, because most agents in your market are probably doing the Vanna White thing. They're walking in and saying, here's a kitchen, there's a bathroom, right? And they're not that all they're doing is pointing out stuff and letting people walk through a house. You want to set yourself apart by giving them information, even if it's nothing that they're going to look at. The fact that you've given it to them sets you apart and wows them. It's the wow factor that you're trying to get, because chances are that they've interviewed, you have to assume they've interviewed more than you as an agent, and you're trying to wow them so that they're going to choose you, right? So when you signed up as a real estate agent, 2 questions. Number 1, how many of you, when you took your licensing classes, education, for some of it, it's more, some of it, it's less. How many of you felt super prepared to go out and sell houses when you were done with that test? No. How many of you have used any of that information? Or, yeah, a little bit, right? But I'm going to tell you that that it doesn't prepare you to be a professional real estate agent. It only prepares you not to get sued, right? And so the first thing that you're selling, what are you selling when you're out there? Yourself. That is the very first thing. Now, if you don't get that, if you don't get anything else, but you are taking away from this that I'm not selling houses, because let's face it, as salespeople, they're just widgets. You're selling a plane, you're selling a semi, you're selling, whatever it is you're selling, it's a widget, but what you have to sell is yourself. So the wow factor is really important to set yourself apart from other agents that are there with you. You're going to leverage more than one property, giving them more than one on the market. Here's what having more than one house similar does. It gives you a living CMA. Now it's not just in writing, but they're getting a feel for the market, and they're saying, oh my goodness, I didn't realize, whatever, you fill in the blank. But it's a living CMA. They're getting adjusted to the market, because if your market was anything like ours, we had one quarter where I think houses went up last year 12%. People were not ready for that, and it was like throwing cold water on them. But you take them to multiple houses, they begin to realize that they're all that way, right? So you're adjusting them to the market. And it also demonstrates your professionalism, because now I know about the market, and I'm telling you that this is the norm. I'm helping you out. And it also is going to help them identify with you as a person in the home buying process. Also, by leveraging multiple properties, you are also having opportunities to sell yourself as that neighborhood professional. Oops, what did I miss? Oh, doing all of that, tying them to you, has them start viewing you as their agent. So when I first started in sales, we did the rule of 5. Rule of 5 says 5 feet. The first 5 feet are important. That means if I walk within 5 feet of you, how do you look and smell? I know that we shouldn't have to teach this. This is not junior high, but you would be surprised at how some agents show up to show a house. Is your breath okay? Did you take a shower? I mean, some of those things are important. You're looking at me like this is unusual. I have seen agents that do not pay attention to this. Then the first 5 words. First impressions are important. So what is the proper number of hand pumps when you're shaking a hand? 3. Good. Who said that? That's awesome. And what's the position of your hand? Yep. Even. Not on top, not underneath. Even, firm, but not overpowering. Solid handshake. 3 pumps is the right pump number. Don't ask me why. That's what I was told. 5 feet is how you look. 5 inches is your breath. Okay. Remember, you're trying to make a first impression. Now that's important because I drink coffee, and that's not really great for your breath. So I always have like a breath mint or something like that that I can utilize when I'm out there. Ishikawa fishbone. This is a term in the business industry that we used to use to find the core halfway. Thank you. Find the core reason, the core problem, or the core issue in the buying process, or in when you're evaluating a problem. You'd go through the Ishikawa fishbone, which basically looks like the skeleton of a fish, and you know how all the spines point to the center. You're asking enough questions and enough whys that you're going 7 levels of why. You've probably heard of that. That's probably easier to remember. You're asking 7 levels of why to get to the core of what people are saying. Because oftentimes people, first of all, they haven't identified their why, their motivating factor. And you want to get to the bottom of that. And so you don't have to, have you ever had a child who, the first thing they say is why? You're like, well, because of this. Well, why? And you're like, well, because of this. Well, they just want to know, and they may not know how to ask the right questions, but until they're satisfied, they just keep saying why, right? So rather than just say why, there are different ways to ask why, but you're getting to the core motivating factor or the pain point that they're having in their situation to move them forward in their decision. So one of the things that you'll hear Michael Hollickson says when I learned it in one of these sessions a couple years ago. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. I love this one. You never want to ask closed-ended questions that can be answered with a yes or no. They're open-ended questions. So this is one way to get them to do that. Tell me more about that. They get to talking about it. Well, what makes you say that? That's another level of why, right? What makes you say that? Can you explain that to me? You're just saying, tell me more about that again, just a different way, right? And you're digging deeper. Help me understand this, right? And so you're just finding creative ways to continue getting to the core motivating factor for your client. And nobody thinks about that. How many of you heard of the Ford method? Right? Ford questions? Right. So you're going to ask questions. Now, this doesn't seem like you're selling a house, because I'm finding out now things about their family, their occupation, their recreation, right? Sorry, their dreams and goals. I got distracted. Their dreams and goals. So you're wanting to learn about them, because that's going to help you make sure that you're pointing out the things that are going to help them solve their pain point. One of the coaches I learned a few years ago tries to talk them out of buying. Like, well, we need more room for our kids. Well, why don't you buy bunk beds? And I don't take that approach, but it's really cool because it makes them think through and get to the core reason. Why do they actually want that office or that garage or that shop or whatever it is in your area? You can tell I sell rural properties. I'm talking about shops and land and stuff like that. I don't know why we threw this in at this point, but side note is safety. On our team, we file a flight plan. If you're going out showing and you're going by yourself, we want to know what homes are you showing, what times are they being shown, so that we can check up on you if you haven't reported in later. We have code word. So, you guys probably do some of that. Hey, if you're running late, I'm calling you and I'm saying, hey, I was wondering what you want me to do with your red folder. Do you need that? If it's a yes or a no, then all of a sudden I know they need help. I can start looking for them. We also use SOS phone programs, emergency messages. You hear phone button a few times. And then we ask them to report when they're done. If not, then I'm looking on the agent information and calling their closest family members to let them know. We don't ever enter into a room first. Let them go in. I want to keep the door between me and them, so that I have an escape route. Trust your gut. I tell people all this all the time. If you have an uneasy feeling about it, take someone with you, or don't go show the client, or give it to somebody else, right? So always trust your gut, and we never carpool with the client. Now, as far as personal protection, that's different in different states, and what you can carry with you for personal protection. It's also up to your managing broker on what they want you to do and not to, but check with your employing broker. We never talk about price in the home. One of the reasons is because there's so much video surveillance and audio that we're just tilting our hand if we're talking about the price of the home. But when we do talk, or when we do go in, also because for the same reason, in our area, when it rains and stuff, it can get messy. So we'll either take off our shoes, or I'll carry booties with me and hand them out at the door if they don't have them at the house already. We want to show respect to the other houses, and I want a good report from the sellers to the listing agent that we were showing their house of. If there's a large party, we instruct them, set expectations, of saying, hey, we're all going to stay together when we go from one place to another. We're not going to scatter throughout the house because the sellers wouldn't like us being in different places. So we want to make them feel comfortable. So let's all stay together. Follow your showing instructions. I hate when I put showing instructions in one of my listings that are very specific, and then clients turn off a light that they're not supposed to. They lock a door they're not supposed to, whatever. Make sure you're reading your showing instructions that are in agent confidential remarks or whatever, and you're following those, because that will help you when you go to make an offer. When it actually comes time to sell the house, you've sold yourself, you got the buy-in into yourself, you're going to sell the property, you're going to ask questions like, hey, what do you love about this house? I'm taking it, how do you feel about this? You're taking it from the logical side to the emotional side. I've sold insurance, I've sold cars, I've sold all kinds of stuff in my history. And one of the things that you always want to do is you want to connect the emotional feeling with a house instead of the logical side. Everybody wants to go logical, especially if you have a high C personality and you're selling to them. They're going to want to go logical to you. You're going to say, tell me what makes sense about this one. Why do you like it? What makes sense about it? When they give you a objection, you're going to agree with it. Oh, this is just too much money. I agree. So many of these houses now are so much money, but I'll tell you what I've found. I've spent a whole lot of money that I shouldn't have been spending on things that I really didn't need or use. And I found that a house is one thing that's worth spending more money than I plan on spending, because it provides whatever the feeling was, right? So you're always going to agree with them first. You're going to feel, felt, found. Now, if you have not found that, don't say, I've felt the same way. Say, hey, I sell a lot of houses. I understand how you feel. Others have felt the same way, because one thing you want to do is be totally honest. You don't feel that way, don't say you did. But you can identify with other people that have, and you can use their stories to then convert. So here's what they found. And then you overcome the objection that way. The other thing I like to use is the magic wand. It's like, hey, if I could find you the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood, what would that look like? If I had a magic wand, price wasn't an object, time was an object, nothing was an object. We're just dreaming now. What would that look like? I have a magic wand. and I get them to talk about their desires and what they really want to go, what they're dreaming about. Now, I might be building them up for, okay, here's a strategy. We're going to buy this house, and in 3 years or 4 years, we're going to be in a position to sell this one and go to your dream place. And I'm setting a strategy. I'm helping them. I'm already setting them up for a relationship that we're going to have long term. I want to help them, their kids, their neighbors, their friends. I want to help everybody with their dreams and their goals, right? My gum. So magic wand is something we use for just for fun. Hey, just for fun, let's go take a look at this. Just for fun, tell me what you think about this or that. None of them are closed-ended. And then when people start talking about, oh, this is too much, switch it from, you're going to move from payments and or from price to payment, excuse me. So you're going to say, oh, well, how much a month were you thinking this is over your budget? They have no clue. But you're switching it to, everybody thinks monthly anyway, right? That's what they do. So you're switching it that way. And you're talking about payment now, because now I can do several things. We can talk about rates, we can talk about buy downs. There's all kinds of strategies that I can move them to and move them off of price and get it into their heads how they can afford something. Remember, you date the rate and marry the house. So I can get them in a 2-1 buy down where the lender, where you buy it first 2 years, you're buying it down 2 points. And then the next year's 1, and then it goes to that solid rate for the next 28 years. But we're just dating the rate, and we're going to see what happens 3 years from now. You might have a promotion. You might be making more money. The rates might come down. You're going to refinance. We don't know. We're going to date the rate, marry the house. Not every contract has to be a offer on a house. What's the other contract? Agency, right? You want to get an agency agreement with them? That's a contract. We count that. When we're writing contracts, that counts. You got a contract. You're now their agent. You have agency with them. That's awesome. So your goal is to get them to buy into you, and that's actually more important to me because I know that we're eventually going to find the right place. I wrote 12. I think my record is 12. I think somebody else beat me. 12 offers I wrote to get one house is my record. Anybody have beat that record in here? More than 12? Yeah, you got more than 12. How many? 15. Yeah. One client, 12 offers on different houses, talking them off the ledge, keeping them encouraged, making sure that they'll keep going to look for houses for me. Yeah, that's 12. Yeah. But and that was more common, of course, 2 quarters ago than it is now. It's getting a little easier, thankfully. I really am enjoying this from the buyer's perspective. It's great. So buyer's agency, remember, first one's free. You're not trying to get a buyer's agency before. Now, sometimes in a buyer's consultation, you can go for that. But if you're just showing a house, first one's free, right? I always tell people, hey, I like you. Hope you like me. Let's work together. I like this relationship. I'm going to commit to you my time, energy, resources, and money. I'm just asking you to do the same thing, right? Loyalty agreements, I like that. That's awesome. We are probably at 90%, I think. Also, one of the other things I say, it gives me the legal right to represent you. I can now tell you what I feel about the house instead of just the facts, right? And we're having a mutual commitment. Let's see. After the showing, we always send a video, right? We hop on, we in the car, down and dirty. I'm hitting my phone and I'm saying, hey, it was great showing you houses today. Looking forward to our meeting on Wednesday where we're going to look at more. Or, hey, I'm going to write the offer. I'll be at the office. You can expect it in your email in the next hour to review, and we'll discuss it, right? I'm going to tell them what the next steps are too. Hey, if we get an accepted offer, here's what's going to happen next. Setting expectations is real important. And then you're just going to rinse and repeat over and over and over again. Now, one of the things you have to understand, you're familiar with your contract. Your client is not. Oh, I better make sure that's the last slide. Yes. So your client is not familiar with the contract. So the other thing that we do is we will take a sample contract with us. And then before we write an offer, I hit the high points because in your contract, at least in our state, there's some things you can change, some things you just can't. They're just statements. But your client is going to look through that and they're going to read a statement that says something about a homeowners association and there isn't one. And they're going to have a bunch of questions. So you're going to take them through quickly and hit high points and answer questions for them in the sample contract so that when they get that contract, they're already familiar with the contract that you're familiar with. But don't take that for granted. They don't know anything about it. So you're going to educate and set expectations with your client by producing this sample contract and going through it in a condensed way and slowing down anywhere they have questions. We talk about, and Rachel is really good about this. I have trouble remembering sometimes. We talk about closing costs because there's different closing costs. There's your lender's closing costs. There's a title company closing costs if you use the title company. There's probably in escrow states, there's probably like a lawyer fee. I don't know. There's different fees. They don't know what those fees are. So in your contract, when it says we're going to split closing costs, that doesn't mean you're splitting all those costs. So you need to explain and set expectations for what some of these things are because they have no clue what those things are. On your clipboard, if you have kids that are going with you as part of the family, give them a clipboard. Here's what we do in that. I'm going to print a sheet with a picture of the house or whatever that we're looking at. I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have them rate it, tell me something they like about it. I'm going to give it to them. I'm also, if they're bored in the ride from one house to another, I'm providing some color sheets and a couple of color crayons for them so that they can entertain themselves on the way. I'm also taking another wow factor is I'm making sure that I have like bottled water, something to give to my clients, but I'm also packing some snacks and some fruit juices. You do that, that's good. And so you're also thinking about their kids. That's one of the reasons you ask who all is going to be there at the showing, and so that I can better prepare. And so when you're doing that, you'll find that a lot of parents don't really pay attention to their kids, and the parents start listening to the kids too. It's really cool to involve them in the process, and it's another wow factor that's going to set you apart from other agents that aren't doing that kind of a thing as well. Let me see if there's anything I missed that I wanted to make sure you saw or heard. Said that. An umbrella and or galoshes if you're selling in rural properties because things can get dirty. And so having some of that stuff available when you're going out on showings and also umbrella, what was it? Oh, first aid kit. In your showing bag or whatever you're going to take around with you, have some basic first aid items because you never know when somebody's going to get a scrape, a bump, a bruise. Just some basic items. It's good to have with you so that you are prepared for that. So a lot of the basics that you're going to follow happen before this point. That is following your prospecting, your lead gen, your follow-up, right? Your the conversion, learning those things and doing those successfully on a daily basis. You hear this at every class you go to, probably your perfect daily schedule. It's the basics in the basketball story I'm talking about. That perfect daily schedule and the things that appear on there are important. We like to work on our business in the morning and in our business later in the day. So any questions about anything that we talked about? Yeah. The whole first showing day. Yep. When I say the first ones, I mean the first appointment. I could show them 10 houses that day, which I probably wouldn't. But if I was showing 10 houses that day, they're all free the first day. I'm just getting to know them. I'm gaining the rapport. I'm selling myself. I'm getting them committed to me. So the first appointment, I should thank you for clarifying. It's free, not just the first house, but the first appointment. We can look at multiple properties, but that one's free. After that, at the end of the day, that's sign a loyalty agreement. I like that. I'm gonna steal that from you. If that's okay. Well, everything. So, well, there's nothing new. Everything that you learn and teach other people is something somebody else probably has taught. We like to think that we're creative and we like to think that we're coming up with it first. But the reality is that everything that I have, I got from somewhere else. Some of it from Club Wealth, some of it from books I read, some of it, but I've got it, or some of it's past experience. Some people ask me how many years experience I have. 54. Because I've been learning about life and sales. I was selling on my parents on bad ideas and everything else when I was just a kid. So I've been learning, I've been learning sales. I mean, you negotiate with a 5-year-old because you want to cut their hamburger in half and they get upset if you do it without asking. So you're in a negotiation in the middle of a restaurant. So you're learning sales all the time, right? You're either selling or being sold, right? So when people ask me how much experience I have, I'm like 54 years. I've been working on getting to this place in my life, my whole life. The reality is that nothing that I'm telling you is brand new. I think that it might be refined over time as things are changing, but really the core elements of what you're going to learn in sales in any industry, they remain the same, and they're not real new. Oftentimes we need to be reminded of it because we go through this cycle where we think we know everything, and then we're humbled and we're like, oh shoot, I forgot the basics. And you go back to it and you realize, oh, I really shouldn't think I'm got to use Club Wealth approved language. I'm the bomb. And and when you get to that point, it's time to go back to the basics, to realize, to be humble. And I used to not want to give away stuff in my own area, but I'm beginning to realize as a team leader that I want to give it all away because they can't implement it anyway. They don't have my team. So I love teaching new stuff. If they can get something and be a better agent as a result, even if they don't join my team, that's great. It makes the whole industry better. It makes us look better because people say, I don't like real estate agents. I go, I don't either. They're horrible. So, I work with them every day and I know exactly what you're talking about. But let me tell you what I found. Here's the difference. Here's our VIP program. Here's our becoming a world-class buyer's agent has VIP information, how to create a VIP program. It talks about all of these concepts. You want it. There's also a course available if you're part of Club Wealth on the Club Wealth site, or you can pay for the course if you're not if you haven't paid for the platform that you can go through to become a world-class buyer's agent. It's really a good course. Yes. About what? Pre-approval. So I use the word purchasing power. So at the end of the first one free, I'd say, hey, we haven't had this conversation yet. I like you. We've had the I like you, you like me kind of conversation. Let's sign a loyalty agreement. I'm like, hey, just curious, what's your purchasing power? They're like, what? I don't know. They might have cash at that point. So I'm just trying to find out, well, your purchasing power. When you talk to the lender, what did he tell you you could purchase? What's your purchasing power? Oh, well, now it leads into, you haven't talked to a lender? Oh, great. I'm going to have a couple of lenders give you a call to talk to you about your purchasing power. Yes. Sure. Yeah, I say there's no better way to get an idea for your purchasing power than talking to a lender, because you're not making a commitment to buy the house. You're just getting information. And so I'm going to encourage them to have those discussions with, we use Daniel, and I send them to him first. That's our team, kind of our team go-to. Say, hey, I just want you to have a conversation with Daniel. He's going to help you out. 1 minute? Okay. Any other quick, I don't know if that helped any at all. So we want them to talk to him. We just said, I'll go with you if you want. Let's go talk to him. You know, I want to get him in front of him and just start a conversation. Even if we don't fill out an application, my lender can give them an idea, at least based on what they're saying. If everything they're saying is true and they're being transparent, he can give them an idea of what their purchasing power is, even if they haven't filled an application. I'll tell you, if I take them to Daniel, then we're going to have an application by the time we're done because he's that great. And so I said, so find a good lender, right? Yeah. Yeah, from the house. Put them on the phone. Yeah. Yeah, right away. Yeah. Yeah, because somebody else is ready. Yep. They looked at it yesterday and were thinking about it overnight, right? What else? Somebody else on their hand? Absolutely. You're the professional. You begin to tell them, hey, we need to know what our purchasing power is because, and you can start filling in the blanks with what you know in your area. And also you can tell them that pre-approval allows us, so we can get pre-qualified or pre-approved. If we get pre-approval, then we can close faster because you've been through underwriting already, which makes our offers more attractive. Got it? All right. Thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate y'all.